You kept quiet when you should have spoken. You agreed when everything inside you screamed no. You smiled through disrespect because you were afraid of conflict, afraid of losing someone, afraid that standing up for yourself would cost you everything. And every single time you lowered yourself, you convinced yourself it was the noble thing to do. You called it kindness. You called it keeping the peace. But deep down you knew that wasn't peace. That was surrender. That was you choosing someone else's comfort over your own dignity, again and again, until you forgot what your own dignity even felt like. The Stoics saw this trap clearly. And today, we are going to break it, because the version of you that keeps shrinking deserves to finally be left behind for good. Stay with me until the very end, because I am going to share 5 Stoic lessons that most people will never hear. Lessons that will permanently change how you see yourself, your relationships, and your own worth. Each one builds on the last. And the 5th? The Stoics called it the most dangerous truth a person could ever face. Miss it, and nothing changes. Stay, and everything does. Lesson 1. Stop seeking approval from people who haven't earned the right to judge you. Have you ever changed your answer in the middle of a conversation simply because someone in the room looked like they disagreed? Have you ever quietly buried a dream because you were terrified of someone's reaction? Most people have. And most people suffer for it, silently, invisibly, and for far longer than they ever admit. Here is the harsh truth. Every time you seek validation from someone who has not earned the right to judge your life, you are handing them power over your soul. Epictetus, a man born into slavery who became one of history's most powerful philosophical voices, understood this on a level that most free men never do. He said, "Seek not the good in external things. Seek it in yourself." The meaning cuts deep. You cannot become who you are truly meant to be while you are busy performing for an audience that doesn't even believe in your potential. But here's the truth most people walk right past. There is a young man who spent 3 years hiding his business idea because his family mocked every ambition he ever voiced. When he finally launched it quietly, in secret, and it succeeded, he said the cruelest part wasn't their doubt. It was the 3 years he had spent waiting for their permission. The approval you are waiting for will never come from the people who don't see your worth. It will only come from within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without pride, relinquish without struggle." Your dignity is not a negotiation. Stop putting it up for a vote. Lesson 2. Every time you lower your standards to keep someone, you quietly lose yourself. Think about the last time you tolerated behavior that you knew deep in your gut was wrong. Maybe it was a friend who consistently spoke to you with disrespect. Maybe it was someone who made you feel small and then smiled as though nothing had happened. And instead of walking away, you made excuses for them. You told yourself they were going through something. You told yourself it wasn't that serious. But here's the truth. The moment you begin tolerating what you once swore you would never accept, you have already lowered yourself. Seneca, writing letters to his closest friend Lucilius across hundreds of intimate pages, said something that should shake you wide awake today. Associate with those who will make a better man of you, not those who drain you, not those who quietly dim your light, those who genuinely lift you higher. Every relationship you stay in out of fear of loneliness, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood, is slowly costing you the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. Most people ignore this truth and spend years, sometimes entire decades, in situations that suffocate their spirit without them even realizing it. Comment, "I choose better" below if something inside you just responded to those words. Because choosing yourself is not selfishness, it is the highest form of self-respect. When you hold your standards firm, you are not being cold. You are being honest about what you deserve. And that is a Stoic act of pure courage. Lesson 3. Their opinion of you is none of your business. This one is hard to hear. but it will genuinely set you free if you let it land fully. Most of the anxiety you carry about what other people think of you, it is almost entirely invented. You do not actually know what they think. You are building elaborate stories inside your own mind and then suffering deeply because of those imaginary stories. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled the most powerful empire in the ancient world and still privately wrestled with his own fears and insecurities, wrote this in his journal: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But here's the truth most people walk right past: the person whose opinion you are most anxious about right now. They are probably not even thinking about you. They are too consumed by their own image, their own fears, their own quiet battles. Epictetus made this painfully clear. People are disturbed not by things, but by the principles and notions which they form concerning things. Have you ever felt how heavy it is to carry someone else's imaginary judgment? Your suffering is not caused by their opinion. It is caused by your belief that their opinion has the power to define you. It does not. The moment you stop needing their approval, something extraordinary and irreversible happens. You become uncontrollable. No one can manipulate a person who no longer needs their validation. That freedom is not earned. It is chosen. And you can choose it right now. We are halfway through, and if any of this has felt like a mirror being held up to your life, I need you to stay close. Because the next two lessons are the ones most people never even realize they need. They are the most powerful and the most uncomfortable truths of all. Lesson 4. Silence is not weakness, it is the discipline of the internally strong. There is a version of you that argues, over-explains, and endlessly justifies yourself to people who have already decided what they think about you. You exhaust your spirit, trying to be understood by those who are not truly listening. You lower yourself again and again, hoping that this one final explanation will make them finally see. But here is the truth: it won't. Seneca wrote, "Silence is the safeguard of a man who distrusts himself, but it is also the mark of one who deeply knows himself." When you stop over-explaining yourself to people who are not worthy of that level of access, something powerful shifts. You stop handing them the emotional ammunition to use against you. There was a woman who spent 2 years trying to explain her feelings to a close friend who never truly listened. She softened her tone, she apologized for her own reactions, she simplified her words into something even a child could understand, and still, nothing changed. One day, she simply stopped. Not out of coldness, out of clarity. And in that silence, she recovered something she had lost long ago: herself. Silence is not surrender. It is the conscious decision to stop wasting your most precious resource, your energy, on people who are not invested in understanding you. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect." Protecting your peace is not passive. It is one of the bravest choices you will ever make. Lesson 5. You were never meant to be everything to everyone. And trying to be is destroying you. This is the one. This is the lesson the Stoics considered the most dangerous, not because it is extreme, but because it is the truth that most people spend their entire lives desperately running from. You have been trying to be everything to everyone. The reliable one, the selfless one, the one who is always available, always understanding, always accommodating, and in the process, you have slowly become nothing to yourself. Epictetus said it plainly: first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. But how can you know who you would be when you have spent so long becoming whoever others needed you to be? Most people ignore this and perform roles written entirely by someone else's expectations until the very end of their lives. Do not be most people. This is the deepest Stoic truth about self-worth. Your value is not measured by how many people you can please. It is measured by how faithfully you live in alignment with your own values, your own purpose, your own truth. Marcus Aurelius, who carried the weight of an entire empire, still carved out time every single morning to write privately, to reconnect with who he was beneath all the roles the world demanded of him. He understood that without that inner anchor, everything eventually collapses. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to take up space without apology. The Stoics call this living according to nature. I call it coming home to yourself. We started this video with a version of you who kept quiet, who agreed when everything inside screamed no, who smiled through pain because you believed that was what strength and maturity looked like. But that was never strength. That was performance. And performances are exhausting, especially when you have been giving the same one to the same people for years. The Stoics were not asking you to become cold. They were not asking you to become indifferent to the world around you. They were asking you to become real, to stop pouring endlessly from an empty vessel, to stop giving your dignity away to people who never deserved it in the first place. Every lesson in this video points to the same quiet destination, a version of you that stands upright. Not because you are better than others, but because you finally, truly believe you are enough. The transformation does not begin when someone else validates you. It begins the moment you stop asking for permission to exist on your own terms. You are not here to shrink for anyone's comfort. You are not a supporting character in someone else's story. You are the main character of your own, and it is time you started living every single day like that is undeniably true. The Stoics built their entire philosophy on one belief: virtue is the only true good. And you, choosing yourself, is one of the most virtuous acts you will ever commit. If this video spoke to something deep inside you, something you have been carrying quietly for a long time, I want you to do one thing right now. Drop a comment below and tell me which lesson hit the hardest. Was it the approval seeking? The silence? Or that final truth about losing yourself trying to be everything to everyone? Your comment doesn't just help this video reach more people. It helps someone else scrolling the comments at 2 a.m. wondering if they are alone in this. Hit subscribe if you want more content that doesn't just inform you, but genuinely transforms you. And share this with one person who needs it today. You already know exactly who that person is.